Artlist.io. Music licensing reimagined.
Welcome, everybody, to the Bald Eagle Podcast. I'm Shawn Cressman. I am the Bald Eagle. All right, this is, what better way to enter our bye week than undefeated and staying undefeated by beating our arch rival, the Dallas Cowgirls. Okay, so the Bald Eagle Podcast. The Bald Eagle Podcast is a 100% Philadelphia Eagles podcast. That's all we talk about is the Eagles and anything that might affect the Eagles. So, of course, NFC East opponents and, of course, future opponents as well. So we talk about, but primarily 100% Philadelphia Eagles podcast. Now, the things that make that makes the Bald Eagle Podcast unique, number one, and primarily, is that I have the most in-depth play-by-play analysis of every regular season and postseason game. We missed a week, personal reasons, last week for Arizona's game, but we're on track again for Dallas. We have a bye next week, and we'll continue on through the season. So, and when I mean in-depth play-by-play analysis, you'll hear it in a few minutes from now, but I essentially go through every single play. For almost every play, I recap what happened, and then I point out things that could have been done better, things that, mistakes that were made, or things that were done well. So you'll know in-depth reasons why we won the game that we won. You'll know how well each player is doing. And you'll also know something that you'll learn through watching the podcast is our opponents. You'll learn other team players' names. You'll know how well they're doing. And that can kind of gauge, especially when we talk about NFC East opponents, when we play them twice, you can remember how we did against certain players. So something I love to do. Takes a lot of time, but I enjoy it, and something you can benefit from too. Now, the Bald Eagle Podcast has 3 rules. The first rule is the most important rule. And if you see me look to your right, I guess it would be, it's because I have my Instagram recording there, and I have to communicate with those guys. By the way, if you're watching or listening, no matter where you're at, you can always comment. I'm looking at the comments now. Even on Instagram, you guys can comment, and I'll talk about your comment live on the air. So 3 rules of my podcast. Most important rule, number 1, no politics. We don't talk about any politics whatsoever. I don't care which way you lean. I don't care. I really don't care at all about your political leanings. It's not important to me. This is all about football. This is my escape from stuff like that. You're constantly barraged or attacked if you watch news or listen to radio or on social media. This is your escape from everything to do with politics. We don't talk about it. I won't talk about it. If you comment on it, I won't bring up your comment. So just forget about politics altogether. Let's escape that bullshit. Secondly, I don't talk about personal information. I don't talk about my own personal information. I don't think anybody really cares. And I don't talk about the players' personal information. My goal is not to tell you, what these players do in their personal lives. My goal is to tell you how they're playing in football. And now I would talk about a player's personal life if it directly correlated to their play. A good example that I usually bring up is Carson Wentz and his significant decline in, 2019, 2020. And, perhaps that being a family issue. He just recently got married, recently had a kid, and maybe there were some distractions there. So that was some speculation. But otherwise, we won't talk about any of the players or my personal information. Nobody cares. And lastly, I'm not censored. I don't refrain from saying anything. I just say whatever the hell I want. So, okay. Now, I mentioned before, in-depth play-by-play analysis. We'll get to that. Now, we do have, I am part of a network of shows, the Philly Sports Alliance. You can see on the side of the screen, I don't know which side it is for you because for some reason my stream isn't showing me on my computer. But you can see the host of shows that we have. I'll recap them at the end and explain what they all are. But Philly Sports Alliance as a network has a sponsor. And the sponsor, the first sponsor I'm going to talk about is La Terrain Watches, or La Terrain. I know them for watches. I bought a couple of their watches, very high quality and economical. But they also have other accessories, glasses, other types of things in addition to watches. If you go to laterrain.com and you put in code PSA, you'll get a discount. Already economically priced, but you'll also get an additional discount just for putting that code PSA in. So run over to la-terrain.com. It's scrolling at the bottom because it's a unique website with that dash in there. Go to that website, check them out, and spend as much money as you can. Let's go to our countdown. Here at the Bald Eagle Podcast, we're always counting down to something. And in the NFL, there's always something to count down to. So since we have a bye this week, we are counting down to our home game against Pittsburgh. It is 13 days away. It's Sunday, October 30th. But let's recap the regular season up until now in case you had missed something. And then we'll continue through the regular season. And I recap our draft every podcast, mostly because I have a horrible memory, and I'm assuming that some people out there also have horrible memories, and this is just a way of repetition, keeping things fresh in my mind. So week one, we started our season off at Detroit. Close game, 38-35, but we won. Of course, we have a record then of 1-0. Week two, we have our home opener, a Monday Night Football game against Minnesota. We beat them 24-7. We went to 2-0. Week three, we went to Washington, embarrassed Carson Wentz 24-8. That made us 3-0. Week four, we beat Jacksonville. Doug Peterson came to the link. We beat him 29-21. That made us 4-0. Week five, we traveled to Arizona, and we beat them 20-17 in Glendale. Made us 5-0. And this week, we hosted Sunday Night Football. We hosted the Dallas Cowgirls. We beat them 26-17 to make our record 6-0. And I mentioned next week, this coming weekend, is our Week 7 bye. 13 days from today is week 8 at home against Pittsburgh. That's October 30th, Sunday. It's a 1 p.m. game. Week 9, we travel to Houston, Thursday Night Football, November 3rd, 8:15 p.m. Week 10, at home against the Commanders, Monday Night Football, November 14th. Week 11, at Indianapolis, Sunday, November 20th, 1 p.m. Week 12, at home against the Packers, Sunday Night Football, November 27th, 8:20 p.m. Week 13, at home against Tennessee, Sunday, December 4th, 1 p.m. Week 14, at the Giants, Sunday, December 11th, 1 p.m. Week 15, at Chicago, Sunday, December 18th, 1 p.m. And Week 16, the end of a 3-game away streak at the Cowgirls, Saturday, December 24th, Christmas Eve, 4:25 p.m. I'm hoping we don't need it by then, but that we get a nice early Christmas gift with another a win over the Cowgirls and a sweep this year. Then we finish our season with 2 home games. Week 17 at home against the Saints, New Year's Day, 1 p.m. It's a Sunday. And then we finish the season, Week 18 at home against the Giants, to be determined, either Saturday or Sunday, January 7th or 8th. And we're unsure of exactly what time. That could be a meaningful game with the way the Giants are playing. I don't expect the Giants to continue their success long term. But so far, they're doing much better than I think anybody would have expected. Now, I mentioned that the Week 18 game is to be determined. I don't know what day it's on. I don't know what time it is. It's not just us. Last time I checked on NFL.com, all the games are to be determined. So I guess they're going to make the schedule up as things get closer. The next game would be the NFL wildcard round. Hopefully we skip that, January 14th and 15th. Then there's the NFL divisional round, January 21st and 22nd. The conference championships are January 29th. And the NFL Pro Bowl flag football game, which is different this year as opposed to an actual game. That is February 5th, 2023. It's held at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. And then Sunday, February 12th, 2023, Super Bowl 57 is held at State Farm Stadium in Glendale, Arizona. And hopefully there will be a sizable crowd to cheer on our Philadelphia Eagles in the Super Bowl. All right, let's quick draft. Let's quick recap our draft. So the most recent draft, we had 5 picks, and we made one significant trade. First round, 13th overall, we drafted defensive tackle Jordan Davis, who has had a meaningful impact on the rushing game so far this year. He's from Georgia. We traded the 18th and 101st overall picks to Tennessee for wide receiver A.J. Brown, a significant upgrade to our wide receivers and a meaningful player so far this year. Oh, got some people to wave at. Hold on one moment. I apologize. Sorry about that, Instagram. Second round, 51st overall, center Cam Jurgens from Nebraska, somewhat handpicked by Kelsey, and he had to play. I think he played a couple of plays and did well in relief of Jason Kelsey. Third round, 83rd overall, linebacker Nakobe Dean from Georgia. From what I hear, very promising, but hasn't been able to break onto the starting or the playing to any playing time because the other linebackers we've had are doing very well. Sixth round, 181st overall, linebacker Kyron Johnson from Kansas, and sixth round, 198th overall, tight end Grant Calcaterra from SMU. And then we did assign a couple of undrafted free agents. I think we had 15 or 16 of them, but we whittled that down to 3 that made our active roster. Of course, a couple of a significantly higher amount made it to our practice squad. We have Reed Blankenship, a safety from Middle Tennessee State, Josh Jobe, a corner from Alabama, and Josh Sills, an offensive lineman from Oklahoma State, still on our active roster. So in 2023, we have the following draft picks. We have 2 first-rounders, which so far is turning out to be an amazing gift. If Jalen Hurts continues on this path, I think he is a franchise quarterback, which means we have 2 first-round picks to either trade away for a who knows what, a stud linebacker, another Micah Parsons, or maybe there's 2 people we can draft that would be of that caliber. We have a second round, a third round, a fourth round, and 2 seventh rounds. And then going a little further out, 2024, we have 1 first rounder, 2 second rounders, a third, 2 fourth rounders. One of those is from Minnesota that could become a fifth. We have a fifth rounder and then a sixth rounder, and it's either the better of ours or the Titans. All right, let's get to the game recap where we do a play-by-play analysis of our game against the Dallas Cowgirls. All right. We win the toss. We defer. So Dallas gets the ball first. They start the first drive of the game. 1st and 10 from their 16. Lamb goes in motion from left to right. Rush snaps the ball, immediately hands it off to Lamb. Riddick is supposed to have contained, but he's not able to get deep enough. Lamb goes around him and is able to get 8 yards. That brings up a 2nd and 2. Dallas on their own 24. Rush in the shotgun. We bring 5. Hargrave is able to bull rush their left guard McGovern into rush as he's throwing. He can't step in to throw. It's slightly behind Lamb, who's covered well by Kaiser White. Kaiser White's able to reach in front, knock the ball down. Excellent play. And that's something that he did in the preseason. One of the first plays Kaiser White had in the preseason with the Eagles was a defensed pass. So that brings up 3rd and 2, Dallas on their own 24. Rush in the gun. We bring 4. Sweats unblocked. Does a great job running down the line of scrimmage. Tackles Elliott on the right-hand side, limiting him to a 1-yard gain on 3rd and 2. And so they punt. We start the next drive, 1st and 10 on our 29 with 13 minutes and 11 seconds left in the first quarter. Hurts in the gun, fakes to Sanders, has good protection. A.J. Brown runs a 5-yard curl. He's wide open. Hurts throws a quick pass. It's a little low. I think it was catchable, but Brown drops it. A unique drop by one of our receivers. Not often, we've made a significant upgrade in wide receiver core, and we went from a team that had significant drops to a team who rarely drops the ball. So that incompletion brings up 2nd and 10 on our 29. Hurts in the gun. He has good protection. Their corner Brown is man on Devontae Smith, who runs a deep crossing pattern. Brown gives him a good 6-yard cushion in concern of allowing that deep pass. He's wide open. Hurts does a quick, accurate pass for 13 yards. 1st and 10 on our 42. Hurts is in the gun. He fakes to Sanders, drops back, has good protection initially, but there's nobody open downfield. The routes are deeper, longer developing routes. And that's a struggle. If you don't have any quicker underneath routes to dump the ball off and you're getting pressure, it's a struggle. Their left defensive tackle, Bohanna, and their left defensive end, Armstrong, crash down to the right. And their right defensive tackle, Odiguzua, blocks, drops back, and loops on. He blocks forward. He drops back, loops to the left. Remember that their defensive tackle and defensive end crash down to the right. Loops around to the left, give him a clear path to Hurts. Dickerson drops Armstrong to block him, but then Armstrong has a free run to sack Hurts for a 9-yard loss. So Sanders was open short over the middle. Pascal was wide open in the left, but Hurts was waiting for those long developing routes downfield, and ended up getting sacked for a 9-yard loss. So, I would say that as far as Hurts is concerned, my only concern is his. Or only thing that I think he should work on, and I'm not trying to, there's a lot of love for Hurts, and I have a lot too, But if he's going to work on anything, it definitely is his pocket presence, knowing when to step up into the pocket and knowing when to run. I think he's a little too quick to run, and sometimes, he looks for the longer play as opposed to just taking what's given to him. So that 9-yard loss brings up 2nd and 19 on our 33. Hurts in the gun again. Goddard's lined up slot right. Brown is wide right. Hurts drops back. He has good protection. Goddard runs a deep route, and Brown is covered by Diggs and runs underneath. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. That deep run by Goddard clogs things up for Diggs when Brown runs underneath. He's open. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass for 11 yards. Brings up 3rd and 8 on our 44. Hurts in the gun again. He drops back and has good protection. They run the same stunt that they ran last time. Their left defensive end and defensive tackle crash down. Their right defensive tackle loops left. But this time we're actually do a better job of picking it up. Brown runs to the first down marker, cuts outside. He's open. Hurts throws a poor pass that's too high. He was open. If the pass was more accurate, we're talking about a first down and we extend this drive. But that incompletion results in a 4th and 8 on our 44, so we punt. The Cowgirls start their next drive, 1st and 10 on their 24 with 10:46 left in the first quarter. They toss the ball left to Pollard. Bradbury forces the run inside. Gardner Johnson's there to tackle Pollard for a 3-yard gain. That brings up 2nd and 7, Dallas on their own 27. Rush in the shotgun. We bring 4. Reddick uses a swim move to get inside their right tackle steal, but Rush is able to scramble to his right and avoid him. We're in zone. Maddox has the right flat. Pollard is standing right at the first down marker on the far sideline, wide open. Maddox played a little too far towards the inside. If he would have been a little more outside, he would have had a chance to perhaps defense the ball. But he's moved it a little bit too far inside. Pollard was all the way at the sideline. Rush finds him for an 8-yard completion on 2nd and 7, so that gives him 1st and 10 on their own 35. Rush under center. It's a fake toss to Pollard. Reddick falls for it, loses contain, allows Rush to roll to his right. TJ Edwards falls for the fake to Pollard, allowing their tight end Ferguson to run right in front of him and to gain a few steps. If you think about you running left, and then all of a sudden you having to cover a guy who's crossing in front of you going right. That's a big adjustment. So Edwards isn't able to recover. Ferguson has a few steps. Rush throws a quick, accurate pass. Reddick was also offsides. Lamb illegally blocked, and they offset, so we redo that down anyway. So it's first down, Dallas on their 35 again. This time they run Pollard to the right. Kaiser White does a great job running through the hole. Davis holds his block, moves down the line of scrimmage, and tackles Pollard for a 2-yard gain. So good play by Davis and Kaiser White. 2nd and 8, Dallas on their own 37. They run Elliott up the middle. Reddick does a good job beating tight end Ferguson outside, forcing Elliott inside, where Cox is able to shed his block and tackle him for a 4-yard gain. That brings 3rd and 4, Dallas on their own 41. Rush into shotgun. We bring 4. No pressure. We can't get to him. We're in zone. Epps has the deep right. Hendershot gets behind him on a deep out, but Epps is able to recover well, dives, knocks the ball down for an incompletion on 3rd and 4. So another good series by our defense. They punt on 4th and 4. That gives us the ball 1st and 10 on our 20 with 7 minutes and 31 seconds left in the first quarter. We run Boston Scott to the left. So Lane Johnson and Seumalo crash down to the left, giving defensive tackle Odigunzua a clean shot at Scott. Meanwhile, Seumalo outruns Parson, compressing the hole. So Seumalo came out trying to tackle to block Parsons, but he outruns him. By the time Scott gets there, the holes collapse. He's only able to get 2 yards. So that brings up 2nd and 8 on our 22. Hurts in the gun, where he drops back. They initially bring 4, but then their linebacker Van Der Esch runs a late blitz. We do a good job picking it up. Stoll is running a crossing pattern, and Parson hesitates in coverage, allowing Stoll to get wide open. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass, and Stoll's able to run for an additional 15 yards after the catch for 21 total yards. So that brings up a 1st and 10. We have the ball on our own 43. Hurts in the gun again. Seumalo and Johnson pull left and create a huge hole for Sanders. But downfield, Smith is unable to block Lewis, who hits Sanders. Sanders jumps back, tries to string it out, but Parsons catches him from behind, limiting the run to 4 yards. So that brings up 2nd and 6 on our 47. Hurts in the gun, drops back, has good protection. Goddard runs a curl over the middle. Watkins runs a deep route. He's wide open over the seam, but Hurts decides to throw to Goddard underneath. Their corner Lewis jumps the route, knocks the ball down, but misses. It was a nice quick throw just in time by Hurts. Unfortunate that he missed Watkins wide open, but still an 8-yard completion on 2nd and 6 and a 1st and 10 on Dallas's 45. Hurts in the gun again, drops back, fakes to Sanders, has good protection. Goddard runs a 10-yard crossing pattern. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass, but it's tipped by Parson, and Goddard's unable to track it and catch it. So that incompletion brings up 2nd and 10. We're on Dallas's 45. Hurts in the gun again. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass to the left-hand side to Devontae Smith for 5 yards. He's in the left flat. So that brings up 3rd and 5 on Dallas's 40. Hurts in the gun again. Hands off to Gainwell to the left. Odigizua sheds a Dickerson block and tackles Gainwell for a 2-yard gain. That brings up 4th and 3 on Dallas's 38. Hurts in the gun. We fake to Gainwell. Smith is wide right. He runs a slant. Brown lines up behind Mailata on the left and runs around the outside of Smith, creating a pick on Diggs, who's man on Brown. And Brown is wide open. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass to A.J. Brown for 11 yards and a 1st down. And that's a play that you're going to hear me recap again. It was successful now, and they run it again to score a touchdown. So we'll recap that again. So that completion brings up 1st and 10 on Dallas's 27. We have trips left, Hurts in the gun. Dickerson and Mailata do a great job opening a huge hole for Gainwell, who runs up the middle for 9 yards. Brings up 2nd and 1 on Dallas's 18. Hurts in the gun again. We throw a screen this time to Watkins, but Van Der Esch reads it very well and is able to string Watkins out of bounds for no gain. That brings up 3rd and 1 on Dallas's 18. Hurts in the gun. And sneaks the ball up the middle. I wanted to check the stats before this podcast, and I apologize I didn't. I want to know how many times or what our success rate is on sneaks on 3rd or 4th and 1, because with the push from the offensive line, the way we line up with 2 backs right behind Hurts, I think is a great setup, and it's been very successful. So that brings us 1st and 10 on Dallas's 16. Hurts in the gun. It's a planned run. Golston jumps inside of Dickerson and tackles Hurts in the backfield for a sack and a 2-yard loss. So that brings up 2nd and 12 on Dallas's 18. Hurts in the gun again, drops back. Defensive end Lawrence gets around Lane Johnson to pressure Hurts. That might be the first quarterback pressure that Lane Johnson has allowed, if it counted as a pressure. Hurts can't see anybody open downfield. No one's open, so he scrambles to the right and throws the ball away. That incompletion brings up 3rd and 12 on Dallas's 18. Hurts in the gun again. They show 6. They drop 2 back and only bring 4. We do have good protection. They're in zone. Brown runs a slant from left to right and finds a spot in the zone, wide open. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass for an 8-yard completion. That brings up 4th and 4 on Dallas's 10. And we catch Fowler in a neutral zone infraction, 5 yards. So that 4th and 4 turns into a 1st down, but that is the end of the first quarter. So the end of the first quarter ends scoreless, and we start the second quarter in a moment. I think it's a good time to talk about some of our other sponsors. So you saw at the bottom there, La Terrain. Philly Sports Alliance has also has partnered with the Painted Lines. So they're another media company. We stream, and you might be watching me on their YouTube. I don't know if we stream on their Twitter, but we have a shared agreement where they stream on some of our social media. We stream on some of theirs, and they have a bunch of other podcasts, not only our lineup, but their own as well. So go check out the Philly the Painted Lines, all their social media and all their other podcasts out there. Okay, so we begin the second quarter. 1st and goal on Dallas's 5. We run Miles Sanders to the left. Dickerson does a great job opening up a hole. Van Der Esch is there to fill it. Sanders runs inside. Van Der Esch crashes inside to follow him. Sanders bounces off of Kelsey, goes around outside, has a hole, accelerates forward, and runs through an arm tackle by their safety Curse for a touchdown. So this is another instance where, and it's a very valuable quality for a running back to be able to set up his own blocks. So when Sanders sees Van Der Esch in the hole, instead of just going straight forward and running straight towards him, which may have been successful, it was only a 5-yard run, which, well, I don't know who'd win that. Anyway, he goes inside, causing Van Der Esch to follow him inside, thinking he's changing holes, and then he uses his line to capture Van Der Esch and to block him out of his way, which is amazing when running backs do that. That's a next level talent. So that's a 5-yard touchdown. That was a 15-play, 80-yard drive that took 7 minutes and 36 seconds and made the score 7-0 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. We kick off. The Cowgirls start their first drive, 1st and 10 on their own 25, with 14 minutes and 55 seconds left in the first half. Rush is under center. He fakes to Elliott. We bring 5. We're not able to get to Rush. Coverage is excellent downfield. Gallup does flash open right when he cuts and comes back to Rush. He was running a comeback, so he ran, maybe 10 yards, turns around and starts to work his way back to Rush. And initially when he makes the plant and cut, he's open. But Rush sees him and throws the ball just a little late. Bradbury's covering him. He's able to recover quickly. He jumps in front of Gallup, tips the ball up in the air. You guys probably remember this one. And Gardner Johnson jumps up, grabs the interception for the first turnover of the game. That gave us the ball 1st and 10 on Dallas's 44 with 14:47 left in the first half. We run Miles Sanders to the left. He starts inside, jumps to the left and accelerates through the hole, runs through an arm tackle by their safety Hooker. Another great run by Sanders for 9 yards. Brings up 2nd and 1 on Dallas's 35. We run Sanders again, this time to the right. This time he utilizes patience, which is something that's hard to do for running backs. When you're running the ball, you want to get to that hole right away and get to the end zone. But sometimes you need to wait for your blockers, and he does that. He hesitates in the backfield, lets Sayamalu catch up and block Parsons, and then he accelerates through the hole for a 3-yard gain. Only 3 yards, but there was some technique involved, so I thought I'd share with you. So that brings up 1st and 10 on Dallas's 32. We run Miles Sanders again, this time to the left. Dickerson, Kelsey, and Mulata do a great job blocking. Hooker meets Sanders in the hole. Sanders uses a great spin move to completely avoid Hooker and get an 8-yard gain on 1st and 10. That brings up 2nd and 2 on Dallas's 24. We run Boston Scott, this time to the right. He's able to get 2 yards. Brings up 1st and 10 on Dallas's 22. We run Boston Scott again to the right. Scott strings it out, runs around everybody to the edge, gets 8 yards before he's pushed out of bounds by Hooker. That brings up 2nd and 2 on Dallas's 14. We run Miles Sanders again, this time to the left. This time they crash the line down inside, and Kelsey gets pushed, just shoved to the side by defensive tackle Bohanna. Kelsey is a great center, but doesn't mean you win every single play. Bohanna pushes him out of the way, forces Sanders outside. Parsons sitting there waiting for him, and we lose a yard. So that brings up 3rd and 3 on Dallas's 15. This is the play that we went over before that I mentioned, hey, I'm going to talk about this play again. Same play again, this time on the 15-yard line. A.J. Brown lined up on the left behind Mulata, right? Smith is wide right. Their corner Lewis is man on Brown, who cheats outside to the left. Brown runs to the right across the field, while Smith runs an inside slant, creating a natural pick. Brown is wide open. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. Once the ball is caught, Brown cuts inside, avoiding the tackle by who was covering him, Lewis, and then he runs to an arm tackle by their safety Wilson for a 15-yard touchdown reception. So great play, something we saw before. That 15-yard completion and touchdown, and a good extra point makes the score 14-0 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That was a 7-play, 44-yard drive that took 4 minutes and 7 seconds off the clock. We kick the ball off. It's a touchback. The Cowgirls start their next drive 1st and 10 on their own 25 with 10 minutes and 40 seconds left in the first half. They run Elliott to the right. Edwards does a great job running through the hole, right inside of pulling Jason Peters. If Jason Peters completely misses him, hits Elliott in the backfield. Elliott falls forward, as he unfortunately does often, for at least a yard, but great play by Edwards. And it was nice to see the old Jason Peters after going to the worst team in the NFL. If you're an Eagles fan, if you're an Eagles player, I mean, I guess everybody wants to play, but for the Cowgirls, anyway, after that 1-yard gain, it's 2nd and 9, Dallas on their own 26. Rush is in the shotgun. We bring 4. We can't get any pressure. We're in zone, which are not the best zone team. Ferguson's able to find a spot over the middle, is wide open. Rush finds him, but the throw is high and incomplete. That brings up 3rd and 9, Dallas on their own 26. Rush in the shotgun again. He drops back. We bring 7. Edwards and Epps are late blitzers. Peters blocks inside. Their left tackle, Ty Smith, blocks outside, giving Hargrave a free shot at Rush. Back in the secondary, we're in zone, and Gardner Johnson's giving Lamb a huge cushion to prevent the deep pass. Lamb runs 2 yards downfield, turns around, wide open because of the cushion, Rush is able to get rid of the ball right before Hargrave hits him. Gardner Johnson hits Lamb right away, but Lamb's able to push him and reach for what should have been, I hate to say this, I never want to be on the side of the Cowgirls, but clearly a first down. He dives and reaches the ball out. Clearly was a first down, but the judge that overruled the other umpire or the other ref had the viewpoint of Edwards' back and thought that Lamb's knee was down. So nobody challenged it. They just went along with it. And on 4th and 1, Dallas was on their own 34, and they ran a play. It was a no huddle. Rush was under center. We bring 6. We're expecting a run. Rush fakes to Elliott, rolls right. Henderson has a stop on Bradbury, but the pass is behind Hendershot. Bradbury's able to knock it down for an incompletion on 4th and 1, so that they turn over on downs. We get the ball 1st and 10 on Dallas's 34 with 9 minutes and 24 seconds left in the first half. Hurts is in the gun. He fakes to Sanders. They bring 5. Initially, there's nobody open. Odigizua gets inside of Seumalo, but Seumalo keeps pushing him inside. And he creates a pocket for Hurts to climb. So Hurts could have stepped up into this pocket. Instead, Hurts feels the pressure coming from his right, and bounces outside to his left. He doesn't see Jack Stoll release and run across the middle wide open because he's running left and is not in his viewpoint. Nobody else is open, throws the ball away. This is my criticism of Hurts, things that he can improve on is his pocket presence. If he had just followed his blocks, if he had stepped up to the right and stayed in the pocket, he would have seen Jack Stoll peel away and run right over the middle wide open. Would have been a significant play. Instead, he throws it away, and it is 2nd down and 30 on Dallas's 34. 2nd and 10 on Dallas's 34. We're in shotgun. We run Sanders to the right. He's able to get out of bounds after getting 4 yards. Brings 3rd and 6 on Dallas's 30. Hurts is in the gun. It's an RPO to Gainwell, but Lawrence plays it well. Gets his hand on Hurts right after he completes the fake to Gainwell. The whole play was supposed to be I believe a screen to Watkins on the left. But because Lawrence does a good job of reading the play, getting through and pressuring Hurts, by the time Hurts is able to escape him, he tries to shovel past the ball to Watkins, who's obviously covered because they could figure out what was going on by that time. And Hooker's able to read the play, hits Watkins almost immediately, and then we lose 3 yards. So on 4th and 9 on Dallas's 33, we kick a 51-yard field goal. It's good. That makes the score 17-0 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That was a 4-play, 1-yard drive. Yeah, 4-play, 1-yard drive. It took 1 minute and 31 seconds. Elliott kicks off. Dallas gets the ball up to their 17. There is an unnecessary roughness penalty on Joseph. So that gives the Cowgirls 1st and 10 on their 9 with 7 minutes and 48 seconds left in the first half. They run Pollard to the right. Williams is able to shed the block by right guard Martin, and Kaiser White does a good job filling the hole, limiting the run to 1 yard. Brings up 2nd and 9, Dallas on their own 10. They run Pollard up the middle again. Their line blocks to the right. Pollard starts right. Edwards and White get caught outside. Davis gets blocked inside, and Tuipulotu gets blocked outside. Pollard has a huge hole and runs up the middle for 15 yards. After that 15-yard run, it's 1st and 10, Dallas on their own 25. Rush in the shotgun. Drops back, passes the ball immediately after the snap over to Pollard. But Slay does an excellent job closing in and making a great open field tackle on Pollard for no gain. So that brings up 2nd and 10 on Dallas has the ball on their own 25. They run Pollard to the right. White does an excellent job pushing their right guard Martin into the backfield, shedding his block, limiting Pollard to a 1-yard gain. So that brings up 3rd and 9 on Dallas's 26. Rush is in the gun. We bring 4. We're in man coverage. Hargrave beats their left guard McGovern outside and forces Rush to climb the pocket, but he has plenty of space. He throws to Gallup, who's covered well by Slay. The throw is slightly behind Gallup, and Slay just steps in front of it, grabs it for the 2nd turnover of the game, an interception by big play Slay. So we start the next drive, 1st and 10 on Dallas's 46 with 5 minutes and 14 seconds left in the first half. Hurts in the gun. Throws a pass to the left to Devontae Smith. Their safety Curse blitzes from the left, leaving a void on the left side. Smith runs a post, wide open. Hurts finds him. Quick, accurate pass, 11 yards. 1st and 10 on Dallas's 35. Hurts in the gun again, runs an RPO, and Hurts keeps it. Smith runs an 8-yard curl, and he's wide open. Hurts throws a quick it was an RPO that he keeps and throws. That was a little confusing. I apologize. He keeps the ball instead of handing it off, stays in the backfield, finds an open Smith doing an 8-yard curl, throws a quick, accurate pass, and that brings up 2nd and 2 on Dallas's 27. We run Miles Sanders to the right. Unfortunately, Van Der Esch does a good job filling the hole. Sanders can't shake him, and he's tackled for no gain. That brings up 3rd and 2 on Dallas's 27. This time we run Sanders to the right. It's an RPO, which freezes Parsons. Mulata blocks down, so it creates space between Parsons, who has contained, and the inside block on Mulata. Sanders does a good job of squeezing in there and accelerating through the hole for a 7-yard gain on 3rd and 2. So that brings up 1st and 10. We have the ball on Dallas's 20. Hurts in the gun again, drops back, and they bring 5. Goddard's in motion from left to right, runs right by their defensive end Fowler, giving him a free run at Hurts. Goddard continues to the flat. Oh, I'm sorry, I read that wrong. So defensive end Fowler has a free run at Hurts because Goddard runs right by him and doesn't block him. Could have chipped him, could have shoved his shoulder. Hurts able to get rid of the ball before being hit by Fowler. And before the ball gets to Goddard, Van Der Esch clearly hits him. It's clearly pass interference, but it's not called. It was incomplete. That brings up 2nd and 10. We have the ball on Dallas's 20. Rerun Boston Scott to the left. Kelsey, again, one of the best centers in the league, doesn't win everything, completely whiffs trying to block their defensive tackle Gallimore. And Van Der Esch is able to run through the hole, forcing Scott to try and string it out. He can't. He loses 3 yards. So we got 3rd and 13 on Dallas's 23. Mulata false starts, the 2-minute warning. We got 3rd and 18 on Dallas's 28. We do a planned run with Hurts. He's in the gun. He drops back and then runs. He's able to get 12 yards. Excellent blocking downfield, but 12 yards is not a first down. Dallas calls their first timeout. We call our first timeout with 1:51 left in the half. 4th and 6 on Dallas's 16. Elliott kicks a 34-yard field goal, and it's good. That makes the score 20-0 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That was an 8-play, 30-yard drive. It took 3 minutes and 27 seconds off the clock. Elliott kicks off. Now, this is something to pay attention to, right? Our special teams has been, I don't remember it, so it's been good, right? The special teams is one of those things that if you don't remember has been pretty good. We had a couple of bad plays in special teams this game, and it's something to be aware of because our next opponent, the Steelers, have a good return man as well who had a couple of good returns this past week. So Elliott kicks off. Turpin takes it from 4 yards deep in Dallas's end zone and runs it 63 yards to our 35-yard line. He starts running inside, breaks outside. We don't have contain. The only way that he's tackled is Epps actually blocks into another Cowgirl, and Turpin runs into him, and he trips and he falls. So with only 1 minute and 38 seconds left in the game, in the half, the Cowgirls have the ball 1st and 10 on our 41 because of that nice return. Rush is in the gun. We bring 4. He drops back. We bring 4. We can't get any pressure. Lamb has a step on Edwards. The pass is slightly in front of Lamb. He tries a one-hand catch, but it falls incomplete. That brings up 2nd and 10. Dallas on our 41. Rush in the shotgun again. Throws a pass this time to Hendershot. We bring 4. Can't get to Rush. We're in zone. Hendershot finds an open spot. Epps is able to hit him right as he's catching the ball, but Hendershot makes the catch for 11 yards and a 1st and 10 on our 30. Rush again in the shotgun. He drops back. We bring 4. Can't get to him. Gallup runs a deep comeback. Cuts the route short. So one of the techniques that wide receivers use that's successful is if they're being covered, the technique again for a defensive back is to backpedal straight, and then when the receiver starts to break with you, you flip your hips and you either face them left or right, depending on what side you're trying to favor. As a wide receiver, as soon as the defensive back turns their hips, that's when you cut, because it's much harder for them to plant. If they're backpedaling, they can just put their back foot back and push forward. So that's what Gallup does to Bradbury. Right as Bradbury is turning his hips for a deep pass, Gallup cuts the route short. Rush sees him, throws a quick, accurate pass. It's a 9-yard completion. Brings up 2nd and 1 on our 21. Rush in the shotgun again. We bring 4. Can't get to Rush. He throws the ball to the corner of the end zone for Gallup, but it's overthrown, falls incomplete. That brings up 3rd and 1 on our 21. He's in the shotgun again. They run Elliott to the left. Tuipulatu tries an inside move. Graham beats their left tackle Ty Smith outside, but that makes a huge hole for Elliott. Gardner Johnson hits him after a gain of 3, but Gardner Johnson's hit does not take down Elliott. Elliott stumbles and crawls for another 6 yards for a total of 9 yards on 3rd and 1. Dallas calls their second timeout with 44 seconds left in the first half. They have the ball 1st and 10 on our 12. Cooper Rush, he is in the shotgun. He drops back. We bring 4. We can't get any pressure. Rush throws up a ball to the corner of the end zone, and Brown, who's covered well by Bradbury, makes an amazing, let's be honest, it was a really good catch, one-handed in the corner of the end zone. Fortunately, while he gets 1 foot down, he lands out of bounds with the rest of his body. It's initially called a touchdown, but after review, it's reversed, so that falls incomplete. Brings up 2nd and 10 on our 12. Rush in the shotgun again. We bring 4. Can't pressure Rush. He throws a quick pass to an open Lamb. Hargrave, fortunately, is able to knock it down at the line of scrimmage because Lamb did look like he was open. Now I can't, it's hard to say what would have happened, right? But I think Edwards was underneath, and he might have had a shot at it. I don't know. But in any case, Hargrave knocks the ball down at the line of scrimmage. Good play by him. So that brings up, that incompletion is 3rd and 10. Dallas has the ball on our 12. Rush in the shotgun again. Drops back. We bring 4. Reddick and Sweat, bull rush, tight end Hendershot, and left tackle Ty Smith into Rush. Causes Rush to throw off his back foot. He can't follow through with the ball. The pass is short. Bradbury's able to jump and tip it to prevent Gallup from catching it for a touchdown and causing an incompletion. Good. It was an excellent series by the defense to prevent a touchdown. So that brings up 4th and 10. They're on our 12. Maher hits a 30-yard field goal. It's good. That makes the score 20-3 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That was a 9-play, 29-yard drive. Took 1 minute and 18 seconds off the clock. They kick off. It's a touchback. We get the ball 1st and 10 on our 25 with 29 seconds left in the first half. We run Gainwell up the middle for 3 yards, and that's the end of the first half. All right. Hey guys, again, no matter where you are, feel free to comment live. I'll talk about your comment on the air. I'll break what I'm doing to discuss what's important to you. But again, since we're at another break, why don't we talk about another one of our amazing sponsors? Miguel Fabro is from the Philippines, an Eagles fan all the way in the Philippines. I bet there's Eagles fans worldwide. I tell you, I haven't traveled internationally much. When I was in the Dominican Republic, I saw another Eagles fan. When I traveled to Cancun years and years ago, I remember seeing an Eagles fan. And every other state I've been to, and I don't know how many I've been to, but at least 12 or 13. Every time I always see an Eagles fan. That's right, Miguel. Thanks for listening. So let's switch to another partner that we have here. So I mentioned the Painted Lines. Another partner that we have here at Philly Sports Alliance is Six Pack Coverage. Now, Six Pack Coverage is one of the largest partnerships that we have. So we stream on some of their stuff. They stream on some of our stuff. But one of the things about about Six Pack Coverage is that they have a wide range of podcasts. It's not just sports. They do have sports. They do have podcasts for sports, but they also have entertainment. They have food, finance, almost any topic you could think of. A few weeks ago when I was talking to somebody from Six Pack Coverage, he had to wake up early to go to a show or a movie that was coming out so he could rate it and do a podcast about it. So check out sixpackcoverage.com, go to all their social media, check out all their podcasts and shows and blogs about a lot of things, including sports. Like I said, fitness is even in there. So go check those guys out. All right. We received the ball on the end of at the beginning of the third quarter, which is the way I prefer it. We start the game. It's a touchback, so we start the third quarter, 1st and 10 on our 25. Hurts is under center. He fakes to Sanders going left. The line also blocked left, causing Van Der Esch to over pursue to the left. Hurts rolls right. Goddard runs a crossing pattern to the right. So everybody's moving to the left. We have Goddard and Hurts roll to the right. Goddard runs right in front of Van Der Esch, who's over pursuing for that run. Goddard's wide open. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass for 14 yards. That brings up 1st and 10 on our own 39. We hand off the ball to Miles Sanders up the middle. He hesitates this time. Unfortunately, this time when he hesitates, the whole collapse versus versus allowing his blockers to catch up. So he's only able to get 1 yard. That brings up 2nd and 9 on our 40. Hurts in the gun, fakes to Sanders. Initially, he's got good protection, but coverage is good downfield. Nobody's open. Their defensive end, Armstrong, beats Malata outside. Again, if he steps up into the pocket, Sanders is wide open right over the middle. It's a dump off, right? Not a deep pass, but at least he can get rid of it. Instead, he scrambles to the right. He runs away from Armstrong. Nobody's open downfield in his view. He throws it away. Another situation where had he trusted his blocking and stepped up, he could have quick dumped it off to Sanders and got a couple of yards. That incompletion brings up 3rd and 9 on our 40. Hurts is in the shotgun. Brown is wide left. Watkins inside of him. Watkins runs a 9-yard curl. Underneath, Brown runs a crossing pattern. He's wide open just as Hurts hits the last step in his drop. Another, and Hurts again, I think so far, even with some of the things he's done wrong, still our franchise quarterback, right? But he hesitates, and that's a no-no. Whenever you see a quarterback pump the ball or hesitate, it barely ever ends well. And that's what happens. He gets to the back of his drop. When he's at the last step of his drop, if he plants and throws, he has Brown wide open. Instead, he hesitates, sees an opening in the line, decides to run, and their safety Wilson makes a good open field tackle on him for no gain. So that brings up 4th and 9 on our 40. We punt. Dallas starts the next drive, 1st and 10 on their 21 with 12 minutes and 47 seconds left in the third quarter. They run Pollard to the right. Sweat does a great job beating his man inside, hitting Pollard in the backfield, but he can't quite make the tackle. But that gives Hargrave and Edwards enough time to converge, and they stop the run for a 2-yard gain. That brings up 2nd and 8. Dallas on their 23. Rush under center. They run our play that we ran against us. They fake right to Pollard, and the whole line goes right. TJ Edwards falls for it. Their tight end Ferguson releases to the left flat. He's wide open. Rush finds him for a 9-yard completion, and that gives them a 1st and 10 on their own 32. They run Pollard up the middle this time. They double Davis to the left. Cox can't completely shed his block. Gets an arm on Pollard, but it's not enough to stop him. Maddox is playing somewhat of a linebacker position, goes up the wrong hole. Pollard is able to get 8 yards on 1st and 10, giving them a 2nd and 2 on their own 40. They run Pollard again to the left. He only gets 3 yards, but in the process, Gardner Johnson's trying to strip the ball out of him. And if you remember, he hurts his, I don't know if it was left or his right hand, hurts his wrist or hand, and he has to come out of the game. And he eventually returns. But this is now we're not often able to point to a series where one player makes a significant difference. But with the entrance of Kayvon Wallace in replacement of Gardner Johnson, a lot of things go wrong. So the next play, Kayvon Wallace is in. It's 1st and 10. Dallas has the ball in their 43. Cooper Rush under center, drops back. Wallace has the left flat. It looks like we're in zone. At least everybody else is in zone. Unfortunately, Wallace runs deep with their wide receiver Brown, avoiding the flat, leaving their running back McKeon. I don't know if I'm saying that right. Wide open in the left flat. Rush finds him. 10-yard completion. Brings up 1st and 10. They're on our 47. Rush drops back again under center. It looks like we're in zone again. Kayvon Wallace again follows their wide receiver down across the field. This instead of deep, he runs across the field, leaving the middle left wide open. Ferguson finds an opening, and it's a 22-yard completion. Now, I'm making some speculation here, but the whole other team was in zone. Every other spot of our zone was covered, except for what I believe Kayvon Wallace was supposed to cover. Instead, on both plays, Kayvon Wallace stayed man with one guy, leaving his assignment, and then it was wide open, and Rush found it. Next play, Dallas has the ball 1st and 10 on our 25. Rush is in the shotgun. They run Pollard to the left. Kaiser White over pursues to the outside. Pollard cuts inside, gets 5 yards, brings up 2nd and 5 on our 20. They run Elliott up the middle. Graham does a great job getting into the backfield, has a shot at Elliott, but Elliott this time spins off of his block, falls for 6 yards. So that brings up 1st and 10 on our 14. They run Elliott to the right. They're able to do a good job blocking White and Cox down. Graham is blocked outside, has a huge hole for Elliott. Their wide receiver Brown runs down the line of scrimmage and blocks Slay. Maddox is covering Brown and focuses on Brown in coverage, doesn't even notice that Elliott has the ball and just runs right by him, right by Elliott. Kayvon Wallace is supposed to be the security blanket. He's not supposed, if the running back gets free, he's supposed to stop him. He runs straight towards Elliott, out of control. Elliott plants his foot, cuts to the left. Wallace can't recover. Wallace can't catch up. Elliott runs 14 yards for a touchdown. So as soon as Kayvon Wallace came in, he made two significant mistakes in the passing game. And then when he is he had the opportunity to tackle Elliott and limit him to a few yards. He does a horrible job. He doesn't break down. He just runs out of control straight at him. And Elliott cuts right off his pursuit. And they score their first touchdown. Extra points good. Makes the score 20-10 in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That was a 9-play, 79-yard drive that took 4 minutes and 28 seconds off the clock. They kick off. We start first and 10 on our 30 with 8 minutes and 19 seconds left in the third quarter. Hurts in the gun. Good protection. Throws a quick pass to Brown. But again, Hurts hesitates. That gives their corner Brown the time to recover. Knocks the ball down. Another poor pass by Hurts. Brings up second and 10 on our 30. Hurts in the gun. He has good protection. Goddard is open, but the pass is slightly behind him, and Parsons is able to break it up. Another poor pass by Hurts. So he has struggled a little bit in this game with decisions and with hesitating. But that brings up. Fortunately, though, after that incompletion by Goddard, Micah Parsons stands over Goddard and taunts him. So it was a nice 15-yard penalty. That gives us a first and 10 on our 45. We run Miles Sanders to the left for 3 yards, brings up second and 7 on our 48. Hurts in the gun, throws a screen to Scott. Parsons able to beat Driscoll outside, pressures Hurts. Their defensive fouler reads the play well, gets in front of Scott, so Hurts just throws the ball to the ground. Brings up third and 7 on our 48. Hurts in the gun. Mailata steps outside to block, allowing their defensive fouler a free run at Hurts. Defensive end Lawrence gets inside to Sayamalu, and Parson beats Driscoll. They all meet Hurts for a 12-yard sack, a sack and a 12-yard loss. Now this is another situation on third and 7 where all the routes were long and were deep and long developing. So Hurts really didn't have time to wait, and he didn't have that short hot route to drop it off to. So after that 12-yard sack, it's 4th and 19 on our 36. We punt. Dallas starts the next drive, first and 10 on their 7 with 6 minutes and 46 seconds left in the third quarter. Rush drops back. We bring 5. Rush throws a quick pass to Lamb, who was covered well by Bradbury, and the pass is too high and uncatchable, falls incomplete. That brings 2nd and 7, Dallas on their own 7. Rush in the gun again. They hand it off to Elliott to the left. Hargrave gets blocked inside. Sweat gets blocked outside. Their center, Biadaz, and left guard McGovern pull and run through the hole, block downfield. They hit Kaiser White at the 10. Elliott's hit by Kaiser White at the 10, but Elliott keeps pushing a pile for an additional 5 yards. So that's an 8-yard gain on 2nd and 10. That brings up 3rd and 2. Dallas on their own 15. Rush in the shotgun. They hand to Elliott to the right side again. Epps hits him right in the hole, but Elliott's able to stumble for an additional 6 yards. That brings up 1st and 10, Dallas on their own 21. Rush under center, drops back. We bring 4. We're not able to get any pressure. Rush throws a quick pass that Gallup has to dive for. Bradbury has good coverage, gets a good jump on the pass, but can't quite reach it. It was actually a really well-placed ball by Rush. It's a 9-yard completion. Brings up 2nd and 1, Dallas on their own 30. Rush under center again, drops back, fakes to Elliott. It freezes TJ Edwards. Rush rolls right, and Ferguson has a step, but the pass is too far in front and falls incomplete. Brings up 3rd and 1, Dallas on their own 30. They run Elliott to the left for 6 yards, tackled by Kayvon Wallace. Brings up 1st and 10, Dallas on their own 36. They run Pollard to the right for 1 yard, tackled by TJ Edwards and Milton Williams. Brings up 2nd and 9, Dallas on their own 37. This time, Rush is under center. He drops back. We bring 4. Can't get any pressure. We're in zone. Lamb runs a deep comeback. Rush throws a quick, accurate pass just as Lamb breaks. It's a 13-yard completion in front of James Bradbury. Brings up 1st and 10, Cowgirls on midfield. They run Pollard to the left. This time Patrick Johnson's in. He does a great job shedding his block, hits Pollard, but can't bring him down right away. He's finished off after 3 yards by Tiu Pulatu and Kayvon Wallace. So after 3-yard gain, it brings up 2nd and 7. Cowgirls on our 47. They're in the shotgun, drop back. We bring 4. We can't get any pressure. Brown runs an out and in, creating separation from Epps. Rush throws a good pass for 10 yards, brings up a 1st and 10. Dallas has the ball on our 37. They run Lamb this time in motion, right to left. Rush snaps the ball and immediately hands it off to Lamb. But this time, Brandon Graham does an excellent job of contain. Won't let Lamb gets outside, forces him to cut inside. TJ Edwards is waiting for him, limits the gain to 1 yard. That brings up 2nd and 9, Dallas on our 36. Rush in the shotgun. He drops back. We bring 5. Josh Sweat bull rushes their left tackle Ty Smith into rush right as he's throwing. We're in zone, and TJ Edwards is giving Lamb a good 4-yard cushion. Rush's pass falls incomplete. Is complete. Elliott blocks Bradbury in the back to allow Lamb an extra 12 yards, and there was no call. So that was a 16-yard play. Block in the back, right in front of the ump, and they didn't even call it. So that completion brings up 1st and 10. Dallas has the ball on our 20. They run Elliott to the left. Josh Sweat beats left tackle Ty Smith inside, forcing Elliott to bounce it outside, where Kaiser White and TJ Edwards are waiting. Limits that gain to 1 yard. That brings up 2nd and 9 on our 19. Rush in the shotgun. Drops back. We bring 5. Can't get any pressure. Hendershot is covered well by Gardner Johnson, and Rush throws a decent ball over the outside shoulder of Hendershot, which is the only place that Gardner Johnson couldn't get to. It's slightly overthrown and fortunately falls incomplete. That brings up 2nd and 14. Actually, there was an illegal motion penalty on Hendershot as well, so that brings up 2nd and 14 on our 24. Rush is in the gun again. They run Elliott up the middle. Reddick hits Elliott at the 23. But again, Elliott's able to run through that, stumble, and spin forward for an extra 11 yards. So on 2nd and 14, he runs for 12. And that is the end of the 3rd quarter. Thanks for joining Devin2087 on Instagram. All right. End of the 3rd quarter. Score is still 20-10. Dallas still has the ball. They start 3rd and 2 on our 12. Rushes in the shotgun, drops back. We bring 4. Brandon Graham beats their left tackle Ty Smith outside, forcing Rush to roll right. We're in man, and Ferguson runs across the field left to right. Gardner Johnson's in man, and loses a step trying to navigate all those players. Rush throws the pass to Ferguson for a 4-yard gain. That's a 1st down. There's also illegal contact by Darius Slay. So that's a 5-yard penalty and an automatic 1st down. So they got 1st and goal on our 7. Rush is under center. He drops back. We bring 5. Rush fakes to Elliott, freezes Gardner Johnson. Rush rolls right. Ferguson then releases and runs to the right flat with Gardner Johnson a few steps behind. Rush finds him, throws a quick, accurate pass. Ferguson catches it, stops, let Gardner Johnson, who's in pursuit, run right by him. Cuts to the left to avoid Epps, who's also in pursuit. And runs 7 yards for a touchdown. The extra point is good. That makes the score 20-17. Still in favor of your Philadelphia Eagles. That is a 15-play, 93-yard drive that took 7 minutes and 7 seconds off the clock. So now we were up 20-0. The Cowgirls have scored 17 unanswered points. This is an opportunity for the Eagles to show them who they are. Right? Are they able to come back and score and pull ahead, or are they gonna struggle? So they kick off. It's a touchback. We start the next drive, 1st and 10 on our 25, with 14 minutes and 39 seconds left in the game. We run Sanders to the right. Driscoll and Dickerson do a great job blocking. There's a huge hole. And Mulata does a good job lead blocking through the hole. He pulls. It's a 13-yard run by Sanders. Brings up 1st and 10 on our own 38. We're in the gun again. We run Sanders again, this time to the left. Mulata blocks down. Sayamalu pulls and blocks Parson outside to create a hole. And Driscoll pulls and lead blocks through the hole. Does a good job for a 5-yard gain. Brings up 2nd and 5 on our 43. We run Sanders again, this time up the middle for 1 yard. Brings up 3rd and 4 on our 44. Hurts is in the gun. He drops back. At the back, the last step of his drop back, he takes off running up the middle for 5 yards on 3rd and 4. So that brings up a 1st and 10 on our 49. We run a toss to Boston Scott to the left side for 5 yards. Brings up 2nd and 5 on Dallas's 46. Hurts in the gun, drops back. Looks like it was perhaps a broken play, though. He went to hand off, but there was no running back to hand off. Miles Sanders ran to the right. Maybe it was supposed to be running back screen. I'm not sure. You could tell, though, that it was a rushed play because the clock almost expired, and Hurts was clapping his hands. The offensive line got up, quick got down. Anyway, looks like a broken play. We only gained 1 yard, and that brings up 3rd and 4 on Dallas's 45. We run Gainwell to the left. He gets 5 yards, brings up 1st and 10 on Dallas's 40. We're in the shotgun. We run Gainwell again, this time to the left. Malata blocks down. Driscoll and Sayamalu pull. Sayamalu blocks Parsons outside, and Driscoll runs through the hole and lead blocks. Gainwell does a good job reading those blocks to get 6 yards. Brings up 2nd and 4 on Dallas's 34. We run a fake toss to Sanders. Hurts cuts upfield, gets a couple of yards, about 3, and then slides down. Thank you, Hurts, for sliding down and not initiating any contact. Hey, what's up, Pete Rock? That's right, baby. Go Birds. So he slides down for 2 yards on 3rd and 1, so we have a 1st and 10 on Dallas's 29. We run Miles Sanders again, this time to the right. Lawrence is able to throw Goddard out of the way, makes the tackle for no gain. Goddard didn't have a bad game against the Cowgirls tackling or blocking, but he had his struggles. In previous games, we've mentioned that he's struggled to block some defenders. So after that no gain, we have 2nd and 10 on Dallas's 29. Hurts is in the gun. AJ Brown is wide right. Goddard's inside of him. Hurts drops back. He has excellent protection. Goddard runs a deep pattern on the inside while AJ Brown stops, cuts left underneath Goddard, creates a natural pick. Hurts throws a quick, accurate pass. Brown catches the ball at Dallas's 23, plants his foot, turns, runs outside, avoiding a pursuing corner Brown. He cuts inside, avoiding safety Wilson, finally hit by Parson, who drags him for a couple of yards down to Dallas's 7. So we have 1st and goal on Dallas's 7. Hurts is in the gun. Smith is wide right. Goddard is lined up next to Driscoll, so a similar play as to before. He fakes to Sanders. Hurts rolls right. Goddard runs into the right flat, taking both their safety Wilson and corner Brown with him. Smith sneaks right in between them, drifts into the end zone. Nobody pays attention to him. Hurts finds him, throws a quick, accurate pass for a 7-yard completion and a touchdown. Diggs also this is a play where Diggs took his helmet off and got all pissed off like a little bitch, right? It's understandable to be frustrated, but to take your helmet off and to cost your team, a penalty is unfortunate. So it was only a yard, but because of that yard, we decided we're going to go for 2 because it's only a 1 yard. It's essentially 4th and goal on the 1. We run Miles Sanders up the middle, but he doesn't make it. So that was that brings the score to 26-17 in favor of the Philadelphia Eagles. That was a 13-play, 75-yard drive that took 7 minutes and 37 seconds on the clock. So that was our response. Not only was it a solid response, but we had 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. Out of 13 plays, 10 were runs. So we focused and relied on one of our strengths, which is our running game, and I think it was a statement run to show that we're able to do essentially what we want to do. So anyway, we kicked the ball off as a touchback. Dallas starts the next drive, 1st and 10 on their 25 with 7 minutes and 2 seconds left in the game. Cooper Rush in the shotgun, drops back. We bring 5, can't get any pressure. Rush throws a quick pass to Ferguson in the flat, who's covered by White. Kaiser White makes a good open field tackle to limit that gain to only 2 yards. That brings up 2nd and 8, Dallas on their own 27. They run Elliott to the left. Edwards does a great job running through the hole, forcing Elliott to bounce it outside. But Edwards in pursuit trips, can't catch him. Elliott plants his foot. It's an odd play because he plants his foot, cuts up field. Sweat, Gardner Johnson, and White are essentially just standing there and watch him run by. They're not able, they're out of position. It's an awkward, I don't know. But he runs right by the 3 of them, and he's finally caught by Hargrave, but it's 11-yard run. So that gives Dallas a 1st and 10 on their own 38. They run Elliott again, this time to the right. It's a toss. Reddick does a good job of shedding a block by Gallup, forces Elliott to bounce it outside, almost tackles him for a loss, but Elliott's able to get around the corner for 2 yards. That brings up 2nd and 8, Dallas on their own 40. Rushes under center, he drops back, fakes to Elliott. We bring 4. Graham beats left tackle Ty Smith outside. Back in the secondary, Bradbury is man on Lamb, has good coverage. Lamb does a stop and go. So Lamb stops. Bradbury falls for it. Lamb proceeds to go deep. Bradbury recovers, but he trips and falls. Lamb is wide open. Rush finds him. Fortunately, and this is why it's good to have a good defensive line and a good secondary, because not everybody's, you're never always going to win. So in this situation, the secondary falters, right? Bradbury trips and leaves a wide open Lamb. But Brandon Graham's able to beat his guy outside, hits Rush right as he's throwing the ball. The ball's underthrown. Gardner Johnson's able to dive under it and intercept it. So what could have been a long touchdown play because of pressure by Graham turns into another turnover by the Dallas Cowgirls. So we start the next drive, 1st and 10 on our 47 with 5 minutes and 3 seconds left in the game. We run Miles Sanders to the left. Mulata blocks down. Sayamalu and Driscoll pool. Sayamalu blocks Parson. Driscoll leads blocks through the hole. Sanders does a good job following his blocks. 9-yard run. You've heard that now 3 or 4 times we've run that play successfully. So we got 2nd and 1 on Dallas's 44. We run our world famous sneak, becoming world famous. Even though we got 1 yard and a first down, there was also a penalty on Odigizua. It was offsides, so we got a 1st and 10 on Dallas's 39. Hurts in the gun. It's an RPO. He keeps. He runs for 5 yards and slides down for a 5-yard gain. Stays inbounds. It's only 4 minutes left in the game once we want the clock to run down. So on 2nd and 5, we're on Dallas's 34. Hurts in the gun. We run Miles Sanders to the left. Driscoll and Sayamalu pull again. But this time their defensive end, Lawrence, reads it well, gets into the backfield untouched, and tackles Sanders for a 2-yard loss. That brings up 3rd and 7 on Dallas's 36. This is the play where Hurts is not expecting the snap. Fortunately, he is able to recover it. It's a 1-yard loss. Dallas calls their first timeout with 2 minutes and 46 seconds left. That gives us 4th and 13 on Dallas's 42. We punt. The punt is out of bounds. Dallas gets the ball 1st and 10 on their 12 with 2 minutes and 39 seconds left in the game. Rushes in the shotgun, drops back. We bring 4. We can't get any pressure. We're in zone. TJ Edwards peels off Lamb to cover Hendershot running across the field underneath and is able to knock the pass down. Great job by TJ Edwards. It's a struggle when you're in zone to know when to pull off of somebody and to cover somebody else. TJ Edwards does an excellent job peeling off Lamb, who's running deep to cover his zone where Hendershot is. That incompletion brings up 2nd and 10, Dallas on their own 12. Rush in the shotgun, drops back. We bring 4. Can't get any pressure. We're in zone. Hendershot's able to find a spot. Epps is able to hit him right as he's making the catch, but he still catches it. Decent play by Epps, but it's still 11-yard completion. Dallas has the ball 1st and 10 on their own 23. Rushes in shotgun, drops back. We bring 4. Hargrave bull rushes their left tackle McGovern, hits Rush as he's throwing, causes a poor pass that falls incomplete. Great job by Hargrave to get some pressure on Rush. That brings up 2nd and 10, Dallas on their own 23. Rush in the shotgun, drops back, throws a screen to Lamb. Lamb runs and is pushed out of bounds for a 7-yard completion. Pushed out of bounds by Maddox and Slay. That brings up the 2-minute warning. Dallas has the ball 3rd and 3 on their own 30. Rush this time passes to the right to Elliott, who's run out of bounds for 5 yards. Brings up 1st and 10, Dallas on their own 35. Rush in the shotgun, drops back. We have excellent coverage downfield, and Rush eventually has to throw it away. That brings up 2nd and 10, Dallas on their own 35. Cooper Rush in the shotgun. He drops back. We bring 4. Brandon Graham beats his man, right tackle Steele, outside and almost hits Rush's arm as he's throwing. Downfield, Lamb runs a post flag and runs into Maddox. So he runs down the field, cuts towards the corner of the end zone, hits Maddox, pushing Maddox back. He cuts to the inside and to the right off that push. So essentially, I don't know if it was technically offensive pass interference because he didn't extend his arms. They collided. But it basically gave Lamb some separation. Rush finds him, throws a quick, accurate pass, and it's a 24-yard completion. That gives Dallas a 1st and 10 on our 41. Rush is in the shotgun, drops back. We bring 4. Sweat uses a swim move to beat their left tackle Ty Smith inside and puts pressure on Rush, who throws for Pollard. But Hargrave is there to knock it down at the line of scrimmage. So another blocked pass at the line of scrimmage, this time by Hargrave. So good job. This brings up 2nd and 10 on our 41. Rush is in the shotgun, drops back. We bring 4, can't get any pressure. Rush throws a pass to Gallup, who's covered well by Slay. Slay jumps in front of it, knocks it down. Great coverage by Darius Slay. That brings up 3rd and 10. Dallas on our 41. Rush is in the shotgun again. We bring 4. Reddick is able to beat their right tackle Steele outside, hits Rush's arm as he's throwing, causing a poor pass, falls incomplete. That brings up 4th and 10. Dallas has the ball on our 41. They attempt a 59-yard field goal, but it is no good. It is wide right. So we get the ball 1st and 10 on our 49 with 1:08. We run Miles Sanders up the middle for 2 yards. We're just trying to run the clock out, right? Dallas calls their second timeout at 1:04. 2nd and 8 on Dallas's 49 with 1:04 left. We run Miles Sanders to the right for 3 yards. They're offsides, so they give us another 5. So we got 2nd and 3 on Dallas's 44. We run Boston Scott to the right for 2 yards. There's another penalty on Adigazua, unnecessary roughness. So we got 1st and 10 on Dallas's 27. We kneel twice, and that is the end of the game. Philadelphia Eagles win 26-17 and stay perfect 6-0. All right, let's get to some game stats. I'm a stat guy, so I want to. This is all interesting to me, including playing time. I'm always curious to see how many plays each guy plays for. So, our offensive starter was, of course, quarterback Jalen Hurts. He played 100% of the snaps. Running back Miles Sanders was the starter. He played 44 snaps, which is 62%. Left tackle Malata, 100% of the snaps. Left guard Dickerson, 68 snaps, which was 96%. Center Kelsey, 100% of the snaps. Right guard Sayamalu, 100% of the snaps. Right tackle Lane Johnson, who did leave due to an injury on concussion, only played 52% of the snaps, which was 37. Wide receiver A.J. Brown played 61 snaps. It's 86%. Devontae Smith played 63 snaps. That was 89%. Tight end Dallas Goedert played 70 snaps. That was 99%. And Jack Stoll played 32 snaps, which is 45. Driscoll played in relief of Lane Johnson. That was 34 snaps, which was 48%. Pascal only got 9 plays, 13%, and Quez Watkins was in there 42 plays, 59%. Hurts stats, he was 15 for 25, not the best completion percentage, 60% is not the best, not horrible. He threw only for 155 yards. He did have 2 touchdowns. He was sacked 4 times and lost 23 yards, and his quarterback rating was 104.6. In addition to that, he ran 9 times for 27 yards. That was a 3-yard per run average. Our leading rusher was Miles Sanders. He ran 18 times for 71 yards. It's a 3.9 average, which is a little bit less than what I expect around 5 from him. He did have 1 rushing touchdown. Not real impactful on the out of the backfield receiving. Targeted once, caught 1, 1 yard. So, of course, a 1-yard average. Our leading receiver was A.J. Brown. He had 8 targets, caught 5 of those for 67 yards. It's a 13.4 average per reception and 1 touchdown. And then Devontae Smith added 5 receptions on 5 targets for 44 yards as an 8.8 average per reception and 1 touchdown. One of the things that we did really well was containing Micah Parsons. In the first half, when Lane Johnson was healthy and playing, he had 10 pass rushes, had 0 quarterback pressures. Now, he did a little bit better in the second half after Lane Johnson left. He had 5 pass rushes and had 2 quarterback pressures. Now, the Eagles scored all of our points, but 20 points in the second quarter. That brings our total points scored in the second quarter of all of the first 6 games to 112. That is the most by any team in any single quarter in the first 6 games of a season in NFL history. And those 112 points that we have solely in the second quarter are more points than 11 teams have all year, including the Cowgirls, the Rams, and the Packers. Our defensive starters. Defensive tackle Hargrave played 48 snaps. That was 72%. Cox played 50 snaps. That's 75%. Defensive end Davis, 22 snaps. That's 33%, about what he's been playing, around 34%. Josh Sweat, 43 snaps, 64%. Linebacker Reddick, 49 snaps. That's 73%. Edwards, 65 snaps, 97%. Kaiser White, 59 snaps at 88%. Cornerback Slay and Bradbury both had 100% of the snaps. Gardner Johnson did not play all of the snaps. He played 51 and 76% because he injured his arm or wrist. And then Epps played 100% as well. Brandon Graham got some time in there, made some key plays, especially at the end of the game there. He played 29 snaps. That was 43%. Milton Williams played 18 snaps, 27%. Maddox played 51 snaps. That's 76%. Kayvon Wallace, in relief of Gardner Johnson, had 18 snaps at 27%. And Marlon Tuipulatu played 18 snaps. That's also 27%. Defense only allowed 181 passing yards and 134 rushing yards. 134 rushing yards is a lot, but 181 passing yards is not. Our defense did a good job against Cooper Rush. He was only 18 for 38, which is only completing 47.4% of his passes, which is excellent. A reflection of our, I think, league leading, not quite, but leading secondary. He only had 181 yards, 1 touchdown, 3 interceptions. We didn't get to sack him at all, which is unfortunate, but his quarterback rating is 37.3. Third down efficiency, we were 6 for 14, 42.9%. Dallas was 4 for 10. That's 40%. Fourth down efficiency, we were 1 for 1, 100%. They were 0 for 1. Good job on the offense. Good job for the defense. Red zone efficiency, 3 for 4, Philadelphia with 75%. Dallas was 2 for 3, 67%. Goal to go, we were 2 for 2. They were 1 for 1. Total net yards, we had 268, a season low. We didn't have a lot of yards. Now, that was partially because of the turnovers deep in their territory, but also because we didn't have as an explosive offensive game as we generally do. So we had 136 rushing yards and 132 passing yards. Dallas had 315 yards, 134 rushing, 181 passing. Penalties, we significantly improved this game. Only 2 penalties for 10 yards, while Dallas had 10 for 72. And we know there was 2 that the refs missed, committed by Dallas. We had the ball significantly longer, 34 minutes and 30 seconds to Dallas's 25 minutes and 30 seconds. And we had 71 total plays. They had 67. All right, let's get to some rankings. Another nerd stat, right? I was a look up to see how we're doing. First of all, let's talk about the NFC East standings, because we are number 1 in the NFC East, but we are also number 1 in the NFL with the only undefeated record. So we're 6-0. We have a 6-win win streak, of course. The New York Giants, surprisingly, 5-1 with a 3-game win streak. Dallas drops to 4-2. They have a 1-loss streak. And then the Commanders are 2-4, and they actually won. So they have a 1-game win streak. Our offense, we are rated 4th in the league in points per game with 26.8. We are rated 3rd in total yards per game with 394.5. We are 5th in rushing yards per game, 156. This is all offense. We are 23rd in rushing yards per attempt with 4.2. That's what needs to improve. And I think over the season, Miles Sanders, the more he gets the ball, the higher that's going to go. Passing yards per game, we're 12th, 238.5. And completion percentage, which essentially is Jalen Hurts, he's 7th with 66.85. Now, our defense, I don't know that I would say that our offense and defense are that significantly different overall. The defense allows 17.5 points per game. That's 6th in the league. They allow 297.8 total yards per game. That's 4th. They allow 109.8 rushing yards per game. That's 15th, so right in the middle of the pack. Again, rushing yards per attempt. We struggle on both sides of the ball. We're 27th on defense, allowing 5 yards per attempt. And now a lot of that had to do with DeAndre Swift. He tore us up, especially yards per attempt. I think he was close to 8. Our defense is 6th in the league with passing yards allowed per game with 188. And this is where we excel. Our defense is 2nd in the league with opposing quarterbacks' completion percentage at 56.77. Now, one of the biggest turnarounds and one of the most meaningful turnarounds that we've completed over the last few years, and what was significantly different in our Super Bowl run, is turnover margin. And this year we're tied for first with a +2 per game turnover margin. Penalties per game were sixth with 5.2, and penalty yards per game we have 38.8, and that is good for seventh. All right, there's a little bit of Eagles news. We'll quick cover that. We're 6-0 for the first time since 2004. In 2004, we went 7-0, and we went to the Super Bowl. And it's only the third time in Eagles history we've been 6-0. Now, I mentioned the two long returns by Turbin. Nick Sirianni was asked if that is a concern, and he said his concern for his special teams coverage is low. I would partially agree, because one bad game doesn't mean that our whole unit is poor, but it's not something we want to ignore going up against Pittsburgh, who again, I don't remember the guy's name, but their return man had two decent runs, two run backs in their game as well. A little bit of injury update. Andre Dillard was activated off injured reserve. Janarius Robinson was placed on injured reserve. I have not heard a status of Lane Johnson and his injury. NFL news. So this may impact the Eagles. So, I mentioned this is a 100% Eagles podcast. Of course, some things in the NFL would impact the Eagles, so we're going to talk about that too. The LA Rams plan to resubmit a rule change to the NFL's competition committee that would make all personal fouls reviewable, including roughing the passer. I think that's a great. Rule suggestion. Oh man, Instagram. I'm sorry, I didn't know that all these people were waving. What's up, Valdemez? What's up, Stay Strong? Sporty Rocker, John Tube 14. All right, so let's get to the world famous bald eagled fact. So if you're not aware, I'm a huge fan of the Philadelphia Eagles. Right, I have a whole podcast just to talk about them for an hour and a half. So what I've done is I've added an interesting fact to every one of my podcasts, and it ranges from every year the Eagles have been in the NFL since the Eagles' inception in 1933. Every Hall of Fame inductee for the Eagles, every player that was inducted into the Eagles Ring of Honor or the Eagles Hall of Fame, leaders for the all-time leaders for the Eagles, so passing leader, rushing leader, things like that, and I also recap all the NFL drafts in history. And that's what I'm going to do today. We're going to talk about the 8th ever NFL draft, which was held in 1943. Held actually on April 8th of 1943 at the Palmer House Hotel in Chicago, Illinois. This was actually the first, and they say oldest, which is the same thing, the first NFL draft that did not produce a single future Hall of Famer. Now, things were a little bit different back then. There were actually 32 rounds to the draft, and there were 300 players selected. The Eagles had the second pick in each round because they had the second worst record in the NFL the previous year. They were 2-9. So in round one, pick 2, they chose Joe Muha, a fullback from VMI. He played fullback and linebacker for 5 years with the Eagles. He was a 2-time All-Pro, and then he was an NFL umpire from 1956 to 1971. Round 2, pick 12, we chose Lamar Racehorse Davis, a back from Georgia. He played 1 year with the Eagles. Then he went to the AAFC. That was a competing league, the All-American Football Conference. And that was actually, we went over, who was it? I think it was one of the former Eagles coaches was integral in merging the AAFC with the NFL, because at the time, the AAFC was actually pretty competitive, and taking players from the NFL and causing the NFL to have to increase salaries and be more competitive. Round 3, pick 17, we chose Roy Monk Gafford, a back from Auburn. His career was delayed due to military service in World War II. After World War II, he played in the AAFC. Round 4, pick 27, Bob Kennedy, a back from Washington State. Round 5, pick 32, Al Ox Wistert, tackle from Michigan. He ended up playing 9 years with the Eagles. He was named into the first ever Pro Bowl that the NFL started, and he was an 8-time All-Pro. Round 6, pick 42, Bruno Banducci, a guard from Stanford. He played with the Eagles for 1 year. Then he spent 8 years with San Francisco. Round 7, pick 52, Walt Harrison, a center from Washington. Round 8, pick 62, Bruce Alford, an end from Texas Christian. Round 9, pick 72, Rocco Canali, a guard from Boston College. He played for the Eagles from 1943 to 1945. Round 10, pick 83, Bill Connolly, a tackle from Texas. He only played one season for the Chicago Cardinals. You'll note, too, some of these players, there were no links. I couldn't find anything out about them. Oftentimes, at least back then in 1943, even if you got drafted by a team, it doesn't mean you played. They didn't make a lot of money. They didn't have nearly the lifestyles that they do now. Some people could have opted to play baseball or to play, I don't know if they played another sport, but they could have just worked. Imagine that, being drafted to the NFL and saying, I'd rather just go to the factory and work. Okay, so we got round 11, pick 92, John Billman, a guard from Minnesota. Round 12, pick 102, Jack Donaldson, a tackle from Pennsylvania. Pennsylvania University, not just the state. Round 13, pick 112, Bill Erickson, a center from Georgetown. Round 14, pick 122, George Weeks, an end from Alabama. He played 1 year in the NFL for the Brooklyn Tigers. Round 15, pick 132, Russ Kraft, a back from Alabama. He played for the Eagles from 1946 to 1953. He was a key member of the Blizzard Bowl that helped the Eagles win their first NFL championship, and he was a notable contributor when they won their second NFL championship. He was selected to the Pro Bowl in 1951 and 1952. Round 16, pick 142, Paul Darling, a back from Iowa State. Round 17, pick 152, Walt Goriski, a back from Louisiana State. He played 1 year with the Pittsburgh Steelers. Round 18, pick 162, Bob Freeman, tackle from Washington. Round 19, pick 172, Johnny Bazimis, a back from Holy Cross. Round 20, pick 182, Chet Mutrin, a back from Xavier. He played 3 years in the All-American Football League, or football conference, All-American Football Conference. Round 21, pick 192, Baptiste Manzini, a center from St. Vincent. He played for the Eagles from 1944 to 1945, and then came back in 1948. Round 22, pick 202, Bernie Gillespie, end from Scranton. I wonder if he was any relation to Dizzy Gillespie. Round 23, pick 212, Jay Mule Lawhan, a tackle from Arkansas. Round 24, pick 222, Vince Zackham, a center from Morehead State. Round 25, pick 232, Joe Schwarting, an end from Texas. Round 26, pick 242, Bob Neff, a tackle from Notre Dame. Round 27, pick 252, Art Machazisk, a back from Western Michigan. He played for the Eagles in 1944 and 1947. With a small break in there while he served in the Army during World War II. And you know what? A quick plug. Amazing. These fuckers played both ways back then, offense and defense. Significantly less protected. So much more was allowed back then. And they took time off to beat the Nazis or whatever happened in World War II. To fuck shit up. And then they came back and played football again. How many men you know nowadays that would do half of that? They cry if they have to play more than one way in the NFL right now. They cry if the quarterbacks cry if they get hit too hard. These guys were getting clotheslined. Round 28, pick 262, Jim Arata, tackle from Xavier. Round 29, pick 272, Wally Scott, an end from Texas. Round 30, pick 282, Stan Jaworski. Not Jaworski, Jaworski, tackle from Georgetown. And then we didn't have a pick in round 31 or 32. Now, we did draft three undrafted players, and oddly enough, those undrafted players had longer and or better season than almost every drafted player. The first undrafted player that we signed was Ali Sherman, a quarterback/corner from Brooklyn College. He played quarterback and cornerback. He played for the Eagles from 1943 to 1947. In 6 seasons, he played 51 games. As a quarterback, he was 66 of 135. He completed 66 passes out of 135 attempts. That's 48.9% completion percentage. for 823 yards and 9 touchdowns. He also had 10 interceptions for a quarterback rating of 59.6. Keep in mind, back then, having as many interceptions as you did touchdowns was not necessarily uncommon or a bad thing. Oftentimes, the passing game was used as a large play, deep play attempt, and so if the ball was intercepted, not a big deal because of such a long pass. It was almost like a punt. We also signed an unsigned guy named Bucko Kilroy. He was an offensive guard and a defensive tackle. He was undrafted. He came out of Temple. He ended up playing 13 seasons in the NFL, all of them for the Philadelphia Eagles. He was called Bad News Kilroy. He was one of the toughest and what I hear dirtiest players of his era. He won 2 NFL championships while he was with the Eagles. He was a 3-time Pro Bowl selection. Out of 203 games, he only missed 1 due to injury. And he played in 147 consecutive games, which at the time was a league record. He helped Steve Van Buren win several NFL rushing titles as an offensive lineman. And he had 5 career interceptions as a corner. And then we had one more undrafted player we signed, and he was Tom Miller. He was an end, so a tight end / defensive end from Hampton, Sydney, and he played for the Eagles in 1943 and 1944. All right. Now I mentioned that I'm a part of the Philly Sports Alliance Network. We have a whole host of shows, and I want to tell you all about them. So here's a line. So here's what they are. And I'm sorry, Instagram, that you can't see this. As soon as Instagram gets their API shit together, I'll be able to share this with everybody. But we have a whole lineup of shows here at the Philly Sports Alliance. On Mondays, we have the Football Smack Talk show, which is an NFL show. They talk about the whole NFL, not just the Eagles, not just the NFC, the whole NFL. And that features Ryan Reese and Eric Ward. Mondays at 7:30, you have the Diamond Club podcast. That is an all Phillies podcast featuring John Hunter, Chris Lahiff, and Danny Hart. Tuesdays at 6:30, you have the Philly Broadcast. They focus on all Philadelphia major sports: Eagles, Flyers, Sixers, and Phillies. And that's hosted by Ryan Reese and Ryan Finneran. Wednesdays at 6, you're glued to whatever social media you prefer, whatever podcast channel you like, Instagram, Facebook, whatever, and you're watching the Bald Eagle Podcast, 100% Philadelphia Eagles, and the only place for the most in-depth play-by-play analysis. After my show on Wednesdays at 8 p.m. is Mike Sports. It's a football podcast, an NFL podcast. It's hosted by Eric Ward and Jay Landry. The interesting thing about them is that Eric Ward is a Eagles fan. Jay Landry is a Cowgirls fan. Thursdays at 5:30, Tendies on Pattison. That's a Flyers show featuring Paul Baccio, Jack Griffin, and Chris Lahiff. And then last but not least, we have Thursdays at 7, Tables, Ladders, and Chairs. That is a wrestling show featuring Eric Ward and Mike Rouse. I think their logo is the second best, next to, of course, the Bald Eagle. Do me a favor. All the people I mentioned, La Terrain, Six Pack Coverage, Philly Sports Alliance, who's the network I'm on, and the Painted Lines, go check out all their social media. Like it, share it, tell your friends about it. Go to all of the Bald Eagle Podcast social medias. You can look me up either at the Bald Eagle 4133, or it's the wrong one, or just search the Bald Eagle Podcast. Now, you have to put in the Bald Eagle Podcast. I'm not that big yet to supplant all of those actual Bald Eagle podcasts or shows or whatever they got going on. So if you want to find me, the Bald Eagle Podcast, at Bald Eagle 4133. Like I said, follow Six Pack Coverage, Philly Sports Alliance, the Painted Lines. Check them all out for all their stuff. Like, share, and enjoy the bye. Enjoy the other games this weekend. I'll be on the air again Wednesday, just a little bit of a shorter show because we don't have a game to recap, and that takes up an awful lot of time. But enjoy the NFL season, or the NFL weekend, and we'll see you next Wednesday to recap some news from the Eagles. In the meantime, go Birds.